Hello everyone, welcome to the Everything Dodgeball podcast. I'm your host Stefan Leitinger, and today I'm joined by Lilli Winzer from Austria and Matthieu Riou from France. They're both recent youth players, competed at the last European Youth Championships in Italy, and Lilli is going to compete at the next one in Zaragoza as well for Austria. Matthieu is now too old for that and is going to play for the men's team in France, in Limerick. So, hello you guys. Thanks for joining me. I've been asked by a few people to do a little bit of a youth-themed podcast, and I also wanted to get a little bit into the UDO Dodgeball Open that happened recently in France with you. And so I thought this would be a good cast to do that with. So how are you doing, Matthieu? Tell us a little bit about your dodgeball journey, why you started, and what it's been like for the last few years.
I play dodgeball since 2017. I started in the same time the club start. So we started a training with everyone at the beginning. Like I was playing against adult, even if I was 11. So it was a bit hard at the beginning, but I think it was really cool. Then the club, the organization improved. Then we started playing with people around our age. So in France, I won one French championship of under 15. Then I did 2 finals of the under 18 championship, but lost the 2. And in adult, I won 2 times the main category and 1 time mixed category. I played at the European Youth Championship, and I won it in the under 18 category. And I think that's it.
Okay, perfect. So Lilli, when did you start? How did your dodgeball journey begin?
So I started playing in 2022 when I was 12 years old. So I've been playing for a little over 2 years now. And at first I played with kids my age, and later I joined the club, the Nasty Nutcrackers, and I also started to play on a competitive level. And in our first year, my team didn't win anything. We came last in women's category and in mixed too. But the following year was much better, and we all improved a lot, and we won our titles. I also played at the youth championship, and my team came third in the girls category.
Okay, perfect. So we have to caveat that a little bit, because the thing is, you were basically like the first youth team in Austria ever. So even though you played in the second league, you only played against adults, and you were, I think your team was mainly 14 years old, and you played against grown-ups in the first year and the second year as well.
Yeah.
So that was sort of a really tough introduction to dodgeball, but what we saw from that is that you could really improve. If you start so young, you really improve a lot in 1 year, and from last place to a quite dominant performance the next year and winning the second league, there was quite a progression, and it was also like the start in Austria for the youth program. And now we have a little more youth development and more teams and some small youth tournaments, and so I think that's a part that's going to change in the future. And Matthieu, you said as well, you started playing at 11 and played against adults from the beginning on. So that is something that's probably not going to happen in 10 years of time when the sports really progressed. But so for you, Matthieu, how was it when you were 11 years old? Probably couldn't hold on to the ball that good, and playing against adults who probably throw quite hard, because lots of France players come from a handball background. What got you motivated to still play dodgeball, and why was it fun?
At first, it wasn't fun at all. I remember saying to my mom, so much time, I want to start dodgeball. The adults are throwing too hard on me, and some things like this. And then I continue, and I wasn't playing competitively against adults, but only at the trainings. And when we started playing with people around our age, it was more fun, and I like it a lot. And I think my passion for dodgeball began in the first studio. After it, I was oh, this is a big tournament, and I want to play some games like this. But I was 16, I think, during the first. So it came a long time after. But yeah, I was playing with my friends, so I was just like, yeah, playing for fun and liking it. Then the competitive aspect came after.
Okay, and how did like the dodgeball youth program start in France? So did you come from another sport and you had just a friends group that tried out dodgeball, or was it just something from school, or how did you start the youth program basically in France?
So we started playing dodgeball in like school with our coach Brice. He was he was organizing a dodgeball with children in the school. So we were playing. Then I think I played in school like in for 3 years, I think. Then the club began, and I joined the club. In school, it wasn't really like dodgeball. I think we were playing with big foam ball, I think, and the rules were not exactly like dodgeball we are playing. But when I joined the club, it was like the real dodgeball. So I did a lot of sports before, but nothing nothing really serious. Like I was playing tennis in the same time. So yeah, we were like basically a group of friends in school, and we all joined the club. Some are still playing, other not really. So yeah, I started like this in school. Then I joined the club, and that's when how I started dodgeball.
Okay, so you started in 2017, you said. Back then, basically, dodgeball started in France to become a little bit more like widespread. So in the beginning, it was just a group of friends, basically, probably like in Austria, that played dodgeball. And I don't know how it was in France. Did anyone know dodgeball back then? And has that changed to now, like now 2025? If you tell someone you play dodgeball, do they know what that is?
Oh no no, it's not well known, but it's like it was in my city. So we live in a little city in France around Paris, and yeah, it was in one school we were playing, but nothing really expand in France. So no, if I say that I'm playing dodgeball, people will ask me what is it, and I will just like, oh, I have to explain it again. So no, nobody knows it really well.
Okay. Good, because the thing is, I think in Austria that changed a little bit. As in the beginning, when I played, I didn't know what dodgeball was, and now I feel it's much more prevalent in schools, especially. We didn't play dodgeball in schools back then. We played Völkerball, so no one knew what dodgeball was, and now lots of young people start playing dodgeball in school. So, is dodgeball something that it's played in schools now in France more than before, or is it still a complete fringe sport in schools as well?
Um, Um, in school, we have a game that, if you translate it in English, it's like dodgeball, but it's not really the same rules. It's like quite like the Japanese dodgeball. You have only one ball. Then when you are hit, you have to go behind the enemy zone. So it's just a game that everybody know in France, but dodgeball, it's not really known.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say that I'm playing dodgeball, I explain it with this sport.
Mm-hmm.
It's in French, it's like ballot prisonnier, but it's in English you say dodgeball.
Okay.
It's Völkerball in
Yeah.
Austria.
So I think
Okay.
it's pretty much the same in Austria.
It's the same.
So Lilli,
Yeah.
how do you feel? Like you've started a little bit later, but now especially like in your group of friends, a lot of people obviously know dodgeball. Do you think like the recognition in the youth has changed in Austria or Vienna?
Not really, but I mostly hang out with people that also play dodgeball, so that is hard for me to say. But of course, some people know it from school because there's also a school tournament where schools from Vienna can be part of. And yeah, but there we play with different rules and only three balls. But overall, I don't think it's a very known sport in Vienna among the
Mm-hmm.
youth.
Yeah, definitely. So I think from my perspective, it has changed a lot because obviously 10 years ago, absolutely no one knew. Like, I didn't know, my family didn't know, and no one knew. If you said dodgeball, you started from the beginning. And now lots of people, if you tell them you play dodgeball, they're like, I've at least heard of it at some point. And maybe they have no idea what it is, but at least there is some sort of recognition. I hope and I think that this will change in the next 10 years. That 10 years from now, if you tell someone you play dodgeball, then they know it and they've maybe played it in school. And like the whole sports system grows, that it is a recognized sport, that you can just say I'm a dodgeball and you don't have to explain it to everyone. That would be something that would be quite nice, I feel like. So I think social media helps a little bit with that. And on that point, do you like, because we are trying to do a little bit on that part now and getting social media a little bit being more active and trying to spread that. That is something I, at least personally, haven't seen from France at all. So I have not seen many clips or videos from France. Is there something like that going on? Like a French dodgeball highlight or something?
The only French dodgeball highlight I've seen is one from the Euros that are posted on the account Dodgeball Highlight. But in France, there's not really like. I know that in the different club they are trying to use social media and post, but like our league aren't filmed, so it's a bit complicated. Like we film for us, but we are not sharing it on internet. So I don't think there is a lot of use of social media. It's maybe a part that we can improve, I think.
So from the dodgeball perspective, France seems like one of the teams that has really a lot of young players, a lot of developing players, but that is coming from a standpoint where lots of nations up to this point even don't have youth programs, and even big nations like England only started a few years ago. So as you said, the last European youth championships were in Italy, and France pretty much won everything as far as I know. Is that right?
Yeah.
So from a dodgeball Europe perspective, you are really the leading nation youth wise. So how do you feel like is the youth program just so was it that successful because you were one of the first who started it, or is the youth program actually working quite well? And how is the development? How when I was at UDO, there were lots of really young players from France. So how do you feel the sport has developed the last few years, and how is the youth program going?
I think the level of young people came from the maybe not good organization of tournament. Like we are playing in adult since we are 15. Like when you turn 15, before there was no under 18 tournament, so we were playing in with adult. And I think now the people maybe before 20 years old are the best in France. Like there is not a lot of people that are more than 20, 22 years old that are really good. So it's maybe because of the fact that we play in adult since we are 15.
And is there something coming behind that? So now those players who started a few years ago are turning 18, 19, 20. And are there still enough youth players coming up behind that? So do you still have a lot of 14, 15 years old?
Oh, yeah. In our team, in under 18 category from the past Europe, we are, I think, 5 to turn 18 and we to turn 19, so we cannot play anymore. But there is still a strong team, and yeah, I think I don't really know in other club, but in our club, the children are an important aspect. Like we try to coach them since they are young, and we like they can play before the official age of like they can play 1 year before competition age. So you have one year to learn dodgeball, then 1 year after you can play in competition. So it's I think that is making us good. I think so. Yeah. We have like a lot of generation that are coming up, and yeah, for the next Euro, I'm confident in my friends that are still playing.
Okay. So Lilli, you've basically seen the youth development over the last few years in Austria, and now you've been to France for 2 months. How do you feel like the approaches differ, and how do you feel like the different youth programs or like the training and setup? What is it like? What's the difference?
So in Austria, I've never met anyone under the age of, I don't know, 10 or 11 years playing dodgeball. But here in France, there are 6 or 7 year old children who already play and who also have got their own competitions. And there are two youth practices each week, and there are three groups. The I think 6 to 10 or 11 year olds, the 10 or 11 year olds to 14 year olds, and then the U18. And so that's different because in Austria we had one youth practice per week, and that was for children aged 10 to 18. But of course, also in sections 10 to 12, 12 to 14, and 14 to 18. So yeah, that's a lot different.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel like the level of dodgeball in those younger categories are when you compare them?
Yeah, it's really different because at our club in Vienna, we had those 12-year-old kids who play like really fire dodgeball and who took us 15-year-olds out very often. And here we don't play with 12-year-olds. And that's different, but a lot of the players are players in a national team, not only the youth national team, but also the real national team. And in Austria, it was mostly the youth national team.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so because I think there are like arguments for both sides. So it's really good, as you said, if you start playing and you're 11 years old and you play against adults, you either make it and then you can learn a lot from them and you get basically taught by fire and putting you like into the melding pot, and because you have so high competition you can learn really fast, and if you survive that and you still think it's fun and are not scared away, then you can progress really fast and learn a lot from it. But on the other hand, you're probably going to lose a lot of players because it's just not really fun starting out playing against adults and playing against people who throw really hard. And so I think for the youth development, it's really important that you have those age groups. But also something I see in our trainings, like last Wednesday, we had a training where there were lots of 14-year-old, 15-year-old women as well. And obviously we have also Kasper, who is, I think, 13-year-old now, and they play against basically world championship players. And we play matches where there are like Flo on one side, I am on the other side. Then there are a few youth under 18 players like Johan or Joey. And then you have two girls who are like 14 on your team as well. And we basically play matches that way sometimes. And you can really see for some people it's not that good and they get more afraid and probably don't have that much fun. So we try to separate it. But for some, it really develops them a lot because they are really in it and they don't care. They want to catch flow from 3 meters anyway. And sometimes they do. Sometimes they receive maybe a hit to the head or something. But there are just some people who are so competitive, even at that young age, that they are really up for that and they want that. And then they progress really far. So I think both of those extremes are can be quite beneficial, but can be also a problem. So I think that is awesome that you have even youth programs that are starting at 6 years old, and we are not even close to there yet. But I think it's getting more like into normal sports structures where you have a lot of protected age groups. And I think for dodgeball, that is very important. But also the other aspect, and I've heard that before from other players on that podcast, if you started playing with much older people and you went through that phase, then you become really, really good because you just need to adapt so fast. So from that, you've been at the youth European Championships last year. You're not going to be there this year because you're too old. And you told me you're not going to go to the European Championships to Limerick, but you've played in Osijek, you've been to Drachten, and you've been at the World Cup. So how do you feel like the game at this point is different on a youth level, like under 18, and on the European or world stage? Because like France is basically up to this point bringing a pretty similar team. How did that work out for you?
So just to begin with, I'm gonna play in the 20.
Five.
No, but the next year I'm gonna play.
At Limerick.
So
You're gonna play?
I wasn't. Yeah.
That's good to hear. Congrats.
Thank you. But yeah, my first year was in 2023. In Odiek. I played in mixed category. I think it was a great experience. I was 17. Yeah. So to meet the competition at this age, I think it's something really great for development. Like, I had so much great games. Like, I think my game against England was really a great game. Like, you have this incredible team, the finalist team, and you play against them. It's really hard at first. They're so strong, but I try to do as much as possible to win. Unfortunately, I cannot, but yeah, I think it's a great experience to be able to play those games at this young age. And the World Cup was a bit different. It was more difficult. I had not really the same game time so I was a sub. I was not
starting player.
Yeah, I was sub. Yeah, starting player. So it was a bit different, but it's still a great experience to play against people this strong. But the Youth European Championship is like, I think it's a great thing for the development of player. Like, I think it's in Spain there were a lot of players that play dodgeball since 2 years, I think. So with against people like us who play since 8 years or 10 years, it's a bit difficult. But I think it's something really good for them, so they can improve, learn some things, and yeah, it's a bit it's a really good thing. And yeah, I like all the tournament, even youth or adult. It was really good to play.
Awesome to hear. So Lilli, you've been at the European Championships, at the Youth Championships, and you're going to be there again this summer. So how was your first experience of international dodgeball at the youth level, and what are you looking forward to the next?
It was really a great experience, and it was so new. Everything was just an experience on its own. Driving in the bus for 12 hours straight there with the team, and then staying at the hotel with the friends. And then, of course, playing was awesome, even though we didn't really reach our full potential, I must say. It was just really awesome to play with people you've known for maybe 1 or 2 years, but maybe also just one practice before. And that was great. And I just had a lot of fun, and we came third. My girls' team was the best team of the Austrian teams. And it was awesome also cheering the other teams on. And yeah, I loved it.
Awesome. And what are you looking for the next years now in Spain?
I would say the goal is, yeah, to have fun and to play well as a team, but also, of course, to maybe win something. That would be great. This year, England is also competing, and we're really excited to see them play. And this year it's of course a little difficult for me because I won't be able to attend any practices because I live in France at the moment. But last year we didn't have that many practices as well, so I don't know.
Okay. So having fun is the most important goal, but also maybe winning something. So you've been also
would
to
be nice.
a lot of tournaments as a fan in the last few years for the Dodgeball Eagles, and now you've made it to the what is it called in English, like the development squad, or like basically the training squad for the national team as well. Obviously, you're not in Austria at the moment and not training, but what does that mean for you as a next step in dodgeball, and how was that knowing that you maybe play for the adults as well?
Yeah, it really surprised me because I didn't expect it at all. Especially if you take the fact into account that I'm not even in Austria at the moment and I don't even have the ability to take part in practices. But it's really cool to know that people appreciate my playing and would potentially want me on the team. And yeah, it made me really happy to know that I have the possibility,
So, what are your plans for the next few years
if
in
that makes
dodgeball?
sense.
You've been at European Championships, you've been at the World Championships as a fan, seeing the Austrian Eagles, especially the women, really crush it. What is your plan or your expectations for the next few years? What are your goals for dodgeball?
Yeah, of course, I'd love to play in the national team, in the women's squad. And I think that this could become a reality in the next few years. And of course, I want to continue playing with the youth team. I still have 2 or 3 years left. I don't know. And yeah, just have fun.
Yeah, but having fun is very important in dodgeball. So with that, fun is a good transition, I think. Let's get a little bit into UDO. Obviously, we've all been there. We've all played basically in all the categories. I've played men. Matthieu, you played men and mixed. And Lilli, you played mixed and women's category, right? So
Yeah.
let's start with you, Lilli. It was your first UDO experience, and you played for the club, for the home club, basically. So what was like the inside and outside look on that tournament? How did you enjoy the tournament? What did you like experience before for the preparations and stuff? And how did it play out?
So the 2 days before we started preparing the courts and everything, we did everything for the preparation and with the food, and that was really nice to see so many members of the club help. And then, of course, it was the biggest dodgeball tournament I've ever played at, and that was great. There were so many people, and our team consisted of two actual Licorne players, two players from the Beauvais Dodgeball Club, two players from the United Kingdom, and of course, us, the two Austrian players. And we've never played in that constellation before, and so that was a bit difficult, but we had a lot of fun, and I really loved our women's team. And in mixed, we came first place, which really surprised us because we were the second team of Licorne and not the first. And we surprisingly beat the first Licorne team in the semi-final. And then we had made it to the final, and we were all super excited, but also so surprised. And then we beat our final enemy, who we had beaten before in the group stage. And yeah, that was awesome.
Perfect. So, Matthieu, give us a little bit of an inside information. You've been to this tournament now 4 times, obviously, if it's UDO 4.
Yeah.
And so, how did the tournament progress for the last 4 years, basically, and how do you see the tournament from an inside perspective, and how was your experience there?
So at first, in the first edition, there was a lot of British club and British team. So then some teams all around the world came. Like we had this year, we had a team from Japan, a team from United States. So I think it's a good thing for the tournament. Like I hope in the future we can meet other nations. It could be a great thing. So the tournament always had more and more team. Like in the first edition, I can't remember exactly the number of team, but this year we completed in all the category, but not in the female. There was 15 teams, but there was the most, the most teams that ever was in the tournament. Like this year we had 20 men's team, and at first it was 16 teams only. Then we said like, why not 4 more team? So yeah, I think it's a good thing, and maybe even more team. I don't know. Maybe it's too hard for the organization, but yeah, I hope we can have more and more team, because I just want to play against a lot of good player. It's like the more fun part, I think. have great game, tense game also. So and I think UDO is a good thing for us, like in Lincoln. You have people that play dodgeball occasionally, like they play it just for fun, and be able to play against world champ or great player like this is, I think, something really cool. Um, so from my point of view, like in the first year, I was in the third team, so we did not make a great place, but it was it was more like I've seen my friend winning, and I was like, wow, that's something I want to do. That I want to play finals. I want to play great games like this, and like I said, it's at this moment that I wanted to be a great dodgeball player. So in the second edition, there was more team, and I've been able to play in the first team. We won the mixed category, um, and yeah, all the games were great. Like we had tough game at every stage. It was something really cool. The third edition was a little bit more complicated. We lost in quarterfinal in men's and mixed, but the women went to the final, so it was really a good thing for them. Um, and for this edition, it was like quite the best, I think, because we went to the semi in men, we went to the semi in mixed. We lost against our second team, so it was something hard at first. Like you lose against your second team, you're like, I'm, I was not I'm not losing, but yeah, it happened. So it's a bit hard, but like seeing them winning in final, it's for the club, so you're like just happy. And in men's, we lost like one set, so yeah, we think like we we know we're improving, and I think that's the most important part. Like we like 2 years ago we lost in quarterfinal, big loss, and this year we're able to maybe reach the final. So yeah, it's I think it's good, and we're improving, and this tournament helped us a lot.
Mhm. And how did you feel like the competition has progressed over the years? Because there are obviously more teams now, and I was quite pleasantly surprised by the competition. I didn't know anything about the tournament beforehand, and we've never managed to get there before. So I was actually I didn't know what to expect at all. And from an organization standpoint, it was awesome. It was really well ran. You could really see that there are lots of volunteers, all the parents and club members really put a lot of
Yeah,
effort into that with the organization. It ran completely smooth. That was really nice to see, and it was just a very well-spirited tournament all around. I felt like everyone really enjoyed their time there and had a lot of fun. And also you could see like the love for the sport and all the preparations around. Like the buffet was really nice with all the self-baked cookie and pastries and stuff. So it was just a really good vibe all around, and you could really feel that from the players as well, that they really enjoyed being there and had a lot of fun. But there was also really competitive matches. And so how do you feel like that progressed? So the tournament got bigger, obviously more teams and more international teams, so from the US and Japan especially. That is really awesome. And how do you think the competition this year compared to the last years?
mm, I think the global level of all the teams that are playing is improving, and I think it's best things that can happen. Um, I think that in the future there will be like um, new teams, better team, I think. And if we can make a comparison like you had in football, the Champions League, I think maybe in some years it can become a tournament like this, and we can have like the best team from Austria, the best team from France, the best team from Italy, and it can be the best team from England too. But it can be a great tournament, and I hope it can become like um, a tournament that you want to participate, you want to win, because in a year it's like an important tournament.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really felt like that. And so I think those open tournaments are really growing in popularity. There are more clubs in every country, and you can really feel that there is, like, even in France, where there is more dodgeball than in a lot of other places in Europe, there's still like around 15 clubs or something like that. So you still really know everyone, you play against them a lot. So it's really refreshing to play against completely different teams, against completely different players. And also, even if you play at that international level and play Euros and play Worlds, there's still always like the same people playing. So it's really fun to have
Yeah,
a lot of teams from England who maybe don't make the cut for the national squad, but are really good dodgeball players, and see what is going on in Italy and see what is going on in France. There was a Swiss team, and obviously the Japanese team, which brings just such a different style of dodgeball there, and obviously Arnachi from the US, who play a lot of these open tournaments and bring their own style. So I think it's a really different experience, because you have a lot of quality dodgeball, but it's just people you maybe don't know, and there are lots of known faces as well. So I think that is really broadening the experience of dodgeball, and I think these open tournaments are really something you should attend to if you like dodgeball and having a fun time. So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So what's planned for the next year? Do you have any idea when UDO is going to be and what the plan is for that tournament?
It's always around the same date, like in February, and yeah, we can hope like there will be each year a new UDO, I think. But yeah, it's the plan. Like, I don't think it's gonna change.
Okay, awesome. So next tournament you're gonna go to, is that the Austrian Open, like the Vienna Calling, or do you have another international tournament in between?
No, yeah, the next is the Vienna Calling.
Okay, so how many teams are you bringing to that tournament?
I don't really know. I think it's one per category.
Okay,
I'm not sure.
are you gonna go?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So maybe we'll get the chance to play there, which we didn't get by I think the last set you lost to Anarchy in the last set and didn't make the final, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it was really good. So Lilli, you're gonna play for the Licorn Dodgeball Club at Vienna Calling, maybe facing your real club, the
Yeah.
Nasty Nutcrackers, still wearing pink but a little different shade. So what are your thoughts going into
Yeah.
that tournament? What do you expect from it, and what are you looking forward to?
Yeah, it's I'll just get to visit my hometown in a time where I wouldn't normally be there, and I'm very excited because, of course, this is the next big tournament we're playing at. We have here the national tournaments in France, of course, but this is the next international tournament, and yeah, facing my own club is, of course, something you don't do that often, I would say. But I'm excited because I'll get to see people I know and I haven't seen in a long time, and I'll get to play with them or against them. And yeah, that's great.
Okay, so I'm looking forward to this one as well. So let's jump a little bit into like the difference of France dodgeball and Austrian dodgeball. I think Lily, you have a really good inside look now into both systems. So you've trained for a long time in Austria,
Yeah.
played for the second league, the first league in Austria this year as well, and now you're in France playing for the French league. What is like the main differences you could experience in the first few months in France compared to Austria?
I think the most recognizable difference is that the calls here are made with hand signs, and in Austria they are verbal. Like, you say who throws at who, but here in France it's like you say that with your hands, and that's a big difference.
Okay, so Matthieu, where did that calling system come from? Did you develop it on your own, or did you copy it from somewhere?
At first, we were using like verbal coding, and in our club, our call well known by all the teams. So we're like, we have to change, and some players saw the Italian team using it, so we just copy them, and we try to bring new things to like develop our attack. But yeah, we just copy it.
Okay. So you copy the Italian style, and do you think it's working better than the verbal system, or just because in the French league everyone knows what you're saying? So does every French team or does the international team do it verbal or with hand signs now?
I think we were the first to use hand signs, but some teams are doing it now. But I prefer verbal coding. But yeah, in the international, we use verbal coding.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's something that will develop, but yeah, we'll see.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's always interesting to me to see the different styles of calling systems and like the advantages and disadvantages of verbal and non-verbal. So it was quite fun at UDO. We had obviously a team of very different nations and very different playing backgrounds, and so we had to come up with a playing calling system, and there were a few opinions in there, and then we just went to a very basic. I don't even know how I think our calling system was just really basic, and we just had a few calls, and the rest was left up to everyone to do it individually. So which I wouldn't do at our club or at our national team especially. So I like to have a very complex calling system where you can really organize everything as good as possible, and I think the verbal one is much better suited for that than the hand signs. I think the hand signs are quite easy, and the opponents can't see them or can't hear them, and even if it's loud in the hall, you can still communicate quite well. But I think you're a little bit limited in that, so it's probably a trade-off. But that's just fun that nations do that still differently. Don't even know how they do it in phone, but I think they do it probably verbally. So, okay, any other difference except for the calling systems, Lilli?
The ways to the tournaments here are much longer because France is a very big country. And for example, in Austria, almost all the clubs are situated in Vienna. So our longest ways were 1 hour, something like that. But here we drive 3 or 4 hours to our tournaments.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and also I feel like you have much more league days and events on weekends than we do. So how often do you play dodgeball in France now compared to Austria?
So we have tournaments, I would say, every 2 weeks on the Sundays, sometimes the Saturdays, but mostly Sundays. I have practice on Friday. There I have youth practice and then the normal practice. Then on Saturday and again on Monday.
Okay. So Matthieu, how did it come, or why is the training session Friday, Saturday, and Monday, and league on Sunday? What's with the other days? Didn't you get any venues, or what's the thought behind that?
It's like the gym is given to us like at this hour, so we cannot change it. Maybe if it's not like the best things, because you have like the adults and under 18 trainings in Monday. You have the children training in Tuesday, and then you have to wait until Friday to have another training. And Saturdays sometimes we have training, but when there is a league day in Sunday, we don't have training on Saturday. So I think it's not the best things, but yeah, we cannot change it.
Okay, so pretty much the same as in Austria, that it's not that easy to get venues to train at. Dodgeball in France probably not a recognized sport as of this point.
No, not at all.
Okay, no. So is there do you know any attempts to become a more recognized sport or a more official sport? Is that something Dodgeball France is working on?
Yeah, there's people inside the federation. They are trying to make it recognized by the government, but it's hard because that's something a little bit annoying for me. But you have to change some things in the federation, like how is it working to make it so. I think maybe in a few years we can expect to be recognized, but in close future it's a little bit complicated.
Okay, so that's probably a similarity between France and Austria. Okay,
Yeah.
So Lilli, you've been to a lot of different training sessions in Austria with the youth training session, obviously the club training sessions, and also some youth or national team training sessions. And now in France, what are differences in the training style or the training programs that you see?
We warm up differently. That was obviously one of the first things I noticed, because you start with the warm up, and here we run for warming up, which we didn't do much in Austria.
What kind of running?
To the middle line, back, and different exercises. And then in general, also for throwing or catching, there are different exercises. And the the venue here is much bigger as the venues I'm used to from Austria. We have 3 courts, which is as big as a tournament venue in Austria for us. And so we always play separated in 2 or maybe even 3 different games with up to 6 teams, of course. And in general, there are much more people attending the practice, which is nice because we have the space. And also, I feel like the practices here are taken very serious, and you can see that there are people working towards the goals, and the practices change depending on what tournament is next, if it's a women's tournament or open or mixed or youth. Depending on that, the style of the practice changes a bit. And I feel like the practices are structured pretty good here.
So do you have like trainers that only like supervise the sessions, or is it also done by players?
It's mostly done by players. We have our main coach, Brice, and he does the most of the practice stuff, but he also plays.
Okay. So if there's like 6 teams and 3 courts, he's controlling all of that and playing himself?
Yeah. And we always play a full game, 2 times 20 minutes. We count the sets, and yeah, that's really nice, I think.
Any other differences? So like I think in Austria, as I said, the club trainings are quite, I think it's also very different from club to club who's gonna hold the training session, but also it's always players who do the training session and train themselves. So it's obviously there are many different styles, and obviously you know probably mostly Anni's style, my style, and Alex and Max Ertl's style as head coaches. So everyone has his different way. So what are like the things you want to bring back to Austria, or what are the things that you think are beneficial that we should implement here as well?
Definitely the actual playing time being taken so serious with the timers and the 1 set points. I really appreciate that here, and I feel like it makes it much more fun to play a little bit more serious, really. And maybe also some exercises we did here.
Okay, perfect. So you're going to bring something back that is always good to broaden the mind and get other perspectives in. And is there something you would like to implement in the French training session, or something you think they might benefit from the Austrian style?
Counting before throwing, I would say. Because here there's the mindset, if we don't count before our throws, it's easier to avoid pre-throws, and they are not timed as good. But I feel like if you really want to be unpredictable, it's much better to just fake at the same time, so nobody knows who throws instead of nobody knows what time you throw.
What's your opinion on that, Matthieu?
Yeah, that's something we try to do. Like when you throw multiple balls, you try to throw in the same time and not counting. But yeah, the exchange are in both sides, because I try to take things that I saw in your games, or when I talk to Lola, she's talking about some things that how it's going in Austria, so I try to take some things like this, and we have to maybe develop and have more calls. But I think you have to when you throw. I think it's, if you say when you're throwing, it's like, okay, I'm in the middle, I just have to wait for the signal to dodge, or if I'm in the wing, I just have to wait for the signals to throw. So I think it's a good thing, but it's hard to be in the same time.
Okay, so you've been talking to Lola. What are like things that you maybe learned or heard, or that were new to you, or things that you want to bring to your game or to your club or to your national squad as well?
I would say the variety of calls.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's you said it like this,
Yeah.
but she told me that you have a lot of different calls, and I think we are a little bit too limited in France. Maybe because we use end call, but I think it's something that we can use like more calls to be unpredictable, I think.
Okay. So, and tactically, I don't know, you probably don't lead any training session, but you've been around for a long time and been part of pretty much all of Dodgeball France, from the national squad to club squad to youth squad. What are like tactical things that you've seen progress, or what are things that you feel like are holding you back to reach your full potential? Because as from an outside perspective, I see France for the last 5 years. We saw you when you were really, really young and had a lot of potential, and we were like, okay, this team, if they grow up and continue their trajectory, they're going to be really good. And then you like progressed over the next few years, and then it felt like that you never really completely reach your potential at tournaments. So there are a lot of really talented players, lots of young talent in the women's team, especially as well, where you have players who've been playing for
Yeah.
a long time and are really athletically capable, great dodgeballers. But it seems like they always fall a little bit short of what they could actually do. So is that something France feels as well, or do you see that different, or how do you feel about that?
Mm, I don't think like the tactics is really different because like when I listen to your podcast and I hear you talking about tactics, I'm like, yeah, I think the same. Like I'm thinking exactly the same as you, but I don't think like there's a lot of people who think about tactics, and it's maybe something that can change because there is some people obviously that are really good in tactics, and I think there is something you can add to our training in club or in national team. Like I'm the under 18 coach, so in our club, so I try to develop more a tactical aspect than a technical aspect because they have like both trainings. Like you have youth trainings, then you have adult trainings where they can participate. So Brice is more like a technical coach, and I try with the youth to learn them to like to taught them to how to play dodgeball. Like they can throw, they can dodge, they can catch, but I don't think they're doing what they do. Like um, we're thinking of why they're doing what they do. So I try to like tell them how to play dodgeball basically.
Hmm? Okay, you've been to those training sessions probably, Lily. How do you feel like the tactical viewing point is at the Licorns Dodgeball Club compared to Nasties or Austria?
Yeah, I feel like at least for the youth, it's better here because they they really do something for the tactical aspect, which I had the feeling that in Austria, not every youth player did always understand why we do the things we do and when we do certain things. And I think the understanding here is
Mhm.
better.
Okay, so like the tactics when you play on uh, at league, basically, how do you feel like the level is in France compared to the Austrian league, and also like from a tactical and technical standpoint?
In general, I would say the level is in Austria higher, but in that might be because the last time I was playing in the Austrian league, I played in the first league in women's as well as in mixed. But here it feels a bit more relaxed on my part at least. But yeah, tactical. I feel like in Austrian's first league, it's a higher aspect, but in the second league, a lower aspect. And here in France, we're like in
Okay,
between.
well, that's our those are some valuable insights, I think, and that is something that is really cool of you, like to really teach the tactics to the young players, because I think that is a really important part of the game, obviously, and the technical part is really important as well, and you have that as a fundamental and basics to play dodgeball, but knowing how to play the game and what decisions to be made is probably something that can set you apart from other teams, especially. All right. So basically, we have a lot of similarities, a lot of differences. Obviously, a much bigger country, which gives you a lot of opportunities, but also makes traveling and stuff like that much harder. So how do you do that for the national squad? How many training sessions do you have with your national squad team? How do you prepare for the upcoming Euros in Limerick?
I think it's the biggest problem we have here. It's like, because the club are not really close, we have to travel, so we don't have that much training. I think before competition, you have like maybe 3 trainings with the national team. It's not that much. So yeah, I think it's the biggest issues we have.
And how do you feel like is the tactical side on the national squad compared to like your club? Because obviously you train a lot at your club, and the other clubs train as well, and then you only maybe have 3 training sessions to bring that together. How hard or easy is it in the national team to bring those different viewpoints to form one team?
I don't think it's really difficult. Like, we have a lot of players that are good in tactics. So maybe like a lot of clubs are thinking the same way. So when we regroup, we have like, okay, we have this game style. So how can we just mix it to have the best game style for our team? And yeah, I think it's pretty easy. Like, we have a lot of players that play the same way, so it's not something really difficult, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, we have like we say, so those are our goal. We have like, we want this space of time of play. We have this space, so why you play like this fast or this slow? And yeah, just know when you have to play fast, when you have to play slow, and I think it's just a simple thing.
Okay, great. So what are your personal expectations and the expectations of France for those upcoming Euros in Limerick?
I'm always playing for title, so I'm just, maybe if it's not really like, maybe if we will win, I want to win, and I'm playing to win. So I just want to say that we'll play to get the goal, and maybe we could, maybe we could not, but we'll do anything we can to reach it.
That is good to hear. I think that's the right mindset. So are you playing men's or mixed or both?
Men's, only men's.
Okay. So are you bringing 2 separate squads, or do you do crossovers as well in France?
The girls are playing in men and mixed. Some girls are playing in mixed, and
women and mixed. Yeah.
Some girls are playing in women and in mixed, and there is 2 men from the mixed team that are playing in men's, and 2 men from the men's team that are playing mixed.
Okay, so a little bit of crossovers, but apart from that, different teams. Okay, so doing sort of a hybrid version of that. All right, awesome. So then I think I'll see you guys at Vienna Calling in the middle of June, and then shortly after at Limerick. So I wish you a good preparation, good training sessions, and take care of our girls at your club. But I think you've been doing a good job of that. So I'm happy that they're learning a French, also like the French side of dodgeball. And I think they're going to bring a lot of good stuff over back to Austria from that. And yeah, look forward to playing against you in the near future. So thanks for hopping on. I think we got a little bit into the youth topic. That is obviously something that is something that is really close to my heart, because I think that is the most important thing for the sport, to grow it and to really develop that youth base. And that is something you need for the sport to really spread, to really grow, and also become that recognized sport in your country, and also become more known throughout the country as well. So I think maybe you should think about putting up some video of your leagues in the future, or at least some highlight reels, so that French people get hyped up as well about dodgeball. And then we'll see you soon. Wish you luck. Thanks for coming on.
Bye.
And yeah,
thank you.
With that, thank you guys. Keep throwing those balls. Try not to get caught, and take care, everyone.